Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Norain binti Zaid and my partner Siti Aisyah binti Zaini. Today we would like to present to you about our topic, which is smoking and vaping among youth. Let's start with introduction. Can you imagine a generation where vaping is seen as normal? Which means young people are exposed to nicotine at an early age, and you may be surprised to learn that the numbers continue to rise each year. This is not a speculation, but this is the reality reflected in the growing trend on smoking and vaping among youth. They see vaping and smoking as something fashionable and trendy. This shows a worrying rise in its usage and the impact on the younger generation. Before we continue any further, I would like to share with all of you a story that happened to my old friend. One of my friends was previously involved in vaping during his school years. He started vaping out of his curiosity, and surprisingly, it was a common habit among his peers. Over time, he found it difficult to stop due to nicotine dependence. He tried so many ways to stop it, but it's so hard for him to stop it because he had already become addicted and his body also had been adapted to it. His experience reflects the reality of youth vaping. Based on his experience, we can see that peers' influence and easy access play a major role that get younger generation into smoking and vaping. This story helps us to understand the reason young people get involved in smoking vape and vaping, and also it helps us to learn the impact of these habits.
To begin with the background of the topic, vapes are electronic devices designed to heat a liquid to create an aerosol, which is then inhaled into the lung. These devices are commonly referred to by various names including vape pens, modes, e-cigarette, or technically electronic nicotine delivery system or ENDS. In contrast, a traditional cigarette is a small roll of finely cut tobacco wrapped in paper. Unlike vapes, cigarettes involve the combustion or burning of tobacco to produce smoke. Now, let's look at the factor influencing youth vaping behavior. There are three main drivers. Firstly, peer pressure and social influence. Many young people start vaping because they want to fit in with their social circle. Secondly, stress or emotional coping. Some use it as a way to manage stress or handle difficult emotion. And the last, flavors and attractive design. The availability of various flavors and the sleek, modern look of these devices make them very appealing to the younger generation. Moving on to the central idea, we are looking at why vaping is becoming more common among young people and exploring the factors that drive this trend, as well as its overall impacts.
Alright, now let's move to description of charts. We will present two charts, which is the frequency of smoking and vaping habits among Filipino youth in 2021 and the prevalence of e-cigarettes use and the age of initiation among Michigan middle and high school students. First, let's start with the data of the frequency of smoking and vaping habits among Filipino youth in 2021. This data is taken from the National Nutrition Survey (NNS) by the Department of Science and Technology Food and Nutrition Research Institute (DOS) FNRI, and it was reported by Inquirer.net 2021. This data compared male and female smokers or vapers based on how often they smoke or vape that has three categories. First, once a week category, second, 2 to 6 times a week category, and the last one, everyday category. As you can see, based on the data, the highest frequency of usage was recorded among males in the everyday category, with a substantially higher percentage than females at 54.8%. This suggests that nicotine dependence may be more serious among male youth. As for female, they are slightly higher in the 2 to 6 times a week category. This indicated that female youths are more likely to be moderate users compared to males. However, smoking and vaping are still common among both genders, even though males show higher daily usage. But the chart shows that both genders are actively involved in smoking and vaping. Based on this data, we can come up with four factors. First, aggressive marketing and accessibility. The widespread advertising of smoking and vaping products, especially on social media platforms, has increased the interest of young people in trying these products. Next, social normalization and peer influence. Smoking and vaping have become more socially accepted among some groups of youngsters. Many youths are influenced by their friends and classmates who view smoking and vaping as a normal and fashionable activity. On the other hand, policy and regulatory gaps can be one of the major reasons young people easily got involved in this unhealthy habit. It's all because of the weak enforcement of laws and regulations. In some areas, there are insufficient restrictions on advertising and online purchases. These regulatory gaps make it easier for them to obtain these products. Last but not least, nicotine dependence. Smoking and vaping products obviously contain the nicotine, which is a highly addictive substance. Once people begin to use these products, their body may become dependent on that nicotine, making them difficult to stop.
Next, we move to chart 2. The data was taken from the 2023 Michigan Youth Tobacco Survey. The survey shows the age at which teenagers first tried using e-cigarette or vaping. Based on the pie chart, the majority of users, which is 55.6%, start vaping at the age of 14 years old or younger. This shows that many teenagers are exposed to vaping at a very young age. Besides that, some students start vaping at the age of 15, 16, and 17, but the percentage are lower. From this data, we can see that vaping among youth is a concerning issue because it can lead to several negative effects. Now, I will explain the impact of vaping among youth in more detail. First, vaping can increase the risk of future addiction. This is because e-cigarette contain nicotine, which is highly addictive. When teenagers start vaping at a young age, they may become dependent on nicotine and continue the habit into adulthood. Second, vaping can cause academic and behavioral challenge. Students who vape may lose focus during class, have lower academic performance, and become more likely to engage in risky behaviors. Third, vaping can lead to respiratory health issues. The chemical inside e-cigarette may damage the lung and cause breathing problem, coughing, and chest discomfort, especially among teenagers whose bodies are still developing. Finally, vaping can create social and financial burden. Teenagers may spend a lot of money buying vape products, and long-term health problems can also increase medical costs and affect their future quality of life.
In conclusion, we can conclude that parents need to monitor and control their children's activities, especially the exposure to online content and peer influence that may encourage smoking and vaping. As you know, parents play an important role to prevent smoking and vaping among youth. They should closely monitor and guide their children. Besides that, they should also pay extra attention to the children's exposure to social media, including the advertisement related to smoking and vaping. Also, they should be aware of peer influence. I would say communication is a key. The parents should always ask the condition of their children so that whenever they feel stressed, they won't get involved with this unhealthy habit just to release their tension. The next one is the governments. The government need to enforce stricter laws and regulation on the sales, advertising, and accessibility of smoking and vaping products to reduce youth involvement. Stronger control over the sale of these products can help prevent underage access. Also, advertisement and promotion related to smoking and vaping should be more strictly monitored. Other than that, the accessibility of smoking and vaping products, especially through online platforms, should be limited. For your information, the data we have been collected, we took it from two articles written by Pycon A and De La Pena K. I think that's all from us. Thank you.